Guys, have you been watching what Sophie Cunningham has been doing lately? Because if you haven't, you're missing the most insane shooting clinic the WNBA has seen all season. And before we dive into this absolute masterclass that just went down, make sure you hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to show you is going to change everything you thought you knew about the Indiana Fever. So here's what nobody's talking about. Sophie Cunningham just went 3 for 3 from downtown against the Las Vegas Aces. Perfect. Not a single miss. And this wasn't just any game. This was the game where the Fever proved they could beat a championship contender without their superstar Caitlin Clark. But that's not even the craziest part. What happened with A'ja Wilson's free throws had everyone in the arena scratching their heads. And wait until you hear what Stephanie White did that had the entire coaching staff shocked. Let me set the scene for you. Thursday night, July 24th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The Indiana Fever are walking into this game as underdogs. Why? Their franchise player Caitlin Clark is sitting on the bench in street clothes, dealing with yet another groin injury. This is the same injury that's kept her out for 10 games already this season. 10 games! The girl who never missed a single game in college or her rookie year is now watching from the sidelines more than she's playing. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember when Sophie Cunningham got traded to the Fever back in January? Everyone thought she was just going to be a role player, maybe knock down a few shots here and there. Well, guess what? She's turned into the Fever's secret weapon. Over her last 5 games before this matchup, she was averaging 13.4 points and hitting 3 3-pointers per game. That's not role player numbers, that's straight up assassin mode. Now, the Las Vegas Aces rolled into town thinking this was going to be an easy win. They see Caitlin Clark in street clothes and probably thought, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. A'ja Wilson had been averaging 31.7 points over their last 3 games. She was on an absolute tear. But something strange happened from the very first whistle. You know how A'ja Wilson usually lives at the free throw line? I mean, in their previous games, it felt like every time someone breathed near her, the whistle would blow. Not this time. She only went to the line for 6 free throw attempts the entire game. 6! That's like LeBron James only taking 5 shots in a game. It just doesn't happen. And here's what's even more bizarre. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, who's usually as calm as a meditation instructor, completely lost it in this game. For the first time all season, she got hit with a technical foul. She was screaming at the refs, yelling, "That's nonsense." Except she didn't say nonsense, if you know what I mean. The woman who's been ice cold through blowout losses suddenly turns into Bobby Knight when they're actually winning? Make it make sense. But let's talk about what really matters. Sophie Cunningham's performance. First quarter, the Fever come out firing. Sophie gets her first look from beyond the arc, and you could just see it in her eyes. She knew this was going to be her night. The ball barely touched the net. Nothing but nylon. The crowd went absolutely wild. This wasn't just a 3-pointer, this was a statement. Then came the second quarter. The Aces tried to adjust. They put Jackie Young on Sophie, thinking her length would bother her. Wrong move. Sophie gets a screen from Aaliyah Boston, creates just enough space, and launches from 26 feet out. Swish. 2 for 2. At this point, even the Aces bench was looking at each other like, who is this woman? But the third quarter is where things got really spicy. The Fever were wearing those 6 Stranger Things jerseys. The black ones with the neon trim that honestly should be their permanent uniforms. Sophie gets the ball on a handoff, and Chelsea Gray is right in her face. This is Chelsea Gray we're talking about, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Sophie doesn't care. She takes one dribble to her left, steps back, and launches from 28 feet. The ball was in the air for what felt like an eternity. The entire arena held its breath. And then, splash. 3 for 3. Perfect. The crowd erupted like they'd just won the championship. Even Caitlin Clark jumped off the bench, bad groin and all, pumping her fist. But here's what the highlight reels won't show you. The Fever were getting absolutely destroyed on the boards in the first half. The Aces were out-rebounding them by double digits. Natasha Howard, bless her heart, was trying to battle in the paint. But when you're going up against A'ja Wilson and Kirsten Bell, that's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Something changed at halftime, though. Stephanie White must have given one hell of a speech because the Fever came out in the third quarter like their lives depended on it. Natasha Howard turned into prime Dennis Rodman, grabbing 13 rebounds for the game. She was boxing out, diving for loose balls, doing all the dirty work that doesn't show up in the box score but wins you games. And let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell for a second. She only shot 33% from the field, which sounds terrible, until you realize she still dropped 21 points. How? free throws, and pure determination. She was attacking the rim like she had a personal vendetta against the basket. Every time the Aces tried to make a run, Mitchell would slice through the defense and either score or get to the line. Now, about those referee calls. Look, I'm not one to usually complain about officiating, but there was this one play that had me ready to throw my remote at the TV. Sophie Cunningham barely grazed an Aces player. I mean, we're talking about the kind of contact that happens 50 times a game. And they called a foul. Meanwhile, on the other end, Fever players were getting clotheslined like it was Monday Night Raw, and the refs were swallowing their whistles. But here's the beautiful thing about this Fever team. They didn't let it get to them. Well, except for Stephanie White, who was about ready to challenge the refs to a parking lot brawl. The players just kept grinding. Aaliyah Boston was doing her thing in the paint, putting up 13 points and 10 boards. She's become such a different player this season. Last year, she would have deferred to everyone. This year, she's demanding the ball in the post and making defenders pay. The fourth quarter is where legends are made, and that's exactly what happened. The Fever were up 75-70 with about 2 minutes left. This is usually when championship teams like the Aces make their run. They've been in this situation 100 times. They know how to close games. Jewel Lloyd hits a tough shot to cut it to 5. The crowd gets nervous. You can feel the tension in the arena. This is the moment where the Fever of last year would have folded like a cheap suit. But not this team. Not tonight. With 41 seconds left, the ball finds its way to Ari McDonald. Now let me tell you about Ari. She was brought in on an emergency hardship exception earlier in the season when the Fever were decimated by injuries. Most people forgot she was even on the roster. But Stephanie White didn't forget. She had Ari ready for this exact moment. Ari catches the ball at the top of the arc. The shot clock is winding down. Chelsea Gray is flying at her. Does she panic? Does she pass it off? Nope. She rises up and launches a three-pointer that was so pure, so perfect, that you knew it was good the second it left her hand. The ball ripped through the net, and the Aces were done. That was the dagger. That was the moment that announced to the entire league that the Indiana Fever are for real. The final score? 80-70, a 10-point win over a team that many consider championship favorites, without Caitlin Clark. Let that sink in for a moment. After the game, Sophie Cunningham was asked about her perfect shooting night. You know what she said? "I was just trying to stay ready. When your number gets called, you've got to deliver." That's the kind of mentality that wins championships. No ego, no showboating, just pure professionalism. But here's what really has me excited about this Fever team. They're learning how to win without their best player. Do you know how valuable that is? When Caitlin Clark comes back, and she will come back, this team is going to be absolutely terrifying. They've discovered they have multiple weapons. Sophie Cunningham can go nuclear from 3, Kelsey Mitchell can take over games, Aaliyah Boston is becoming a dominant force in the paint, Natasha Howard brings that veteran toughness. And let's not forget about the Sophie Cunningham effect off the court. This woman has become a folk hero in Indianapolis. After that incident where she defended Caitlin Clark against JC Sheldon, her jersey sales went through the roof. She gained hundreds of thousands of social media followers overnight. She even made a TikTok about it that went viral. The girl knows how to work the crowd, and Indianapolis loves her for it. Speaking of social media, did you see what Aja Wilson posted after the game? Nothing. Absolute radio silence. Usually, she's quick with a tweet or an Instagram story, win or lose. But after getting held to just 20 points and only 6 free throw attempts, crickets. I'm not saying she's upset about the officiating, but actually, that's exactly what I'm saying. The implications of this win are huge. The Fever and Aces came into this game with similar records, both fighting for playoff positioning. This head-to-head victory could be the difference between hosting a playoff game and going on the road. In a league where home court advantage actually matters, that's massive. But beyond the standings, this game showed something more important. The Fever have an identity now. They're not just Caitlin Clark and others. They're a team. A real team with multiple players who can step up and win games. Sophie Cunningham going perfect from 3? That's not luck. That's what happens when you have a player who's been putting in work and waiting for her moment. You want to know the craziest stat from this game? The Fever outscored the Aces 27-15 in the third quarter against Aja Wilson and that Aces defense. That's not supposed to happen. That quarter alone shows you how far this team has come under Stephanie White's coaching. And yes, let's talk about Stephanie White for a moment. Getting that technical foul might have been the best thing that happened all game. It showed her players that she's willing to fight for them. Sometimes, a coach needs to show that fire, that passion. It lights a fire under the team. After she got that tech, the Fever played with a different kind of intensity. Coincidence? I think not. Now, if you're enjoying this breakdown and want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you the real, unfiltered truth about the WNBA that nobody else is talking about. Looking ahead, this win could be a turning point for the Fever season. They've proven they can beat elite teams without their superstar. They've found a secondary scorer in Sophie Cunningham who can absolutely catch fire. They've shown mental toughness in close games. These are the building blocks of a playoff team. But here's my question for you, and drop your answer in the comments below. Do you think the Fever are actually better positioned for a playoff run now that they've learned to win without Caitlin Clark? It's a controversial take, but hear me out. Teams that rely too heavily on one player often struggle in the playoffs when defenses can game plan specifically for that player. The Fever are being forced to develop other options, other strategies. When Caitlin comes back, they'll be that much more dangerous. The bottom line is this: Sophie Cunningham just put the entire WNBA on notice. You can't leave her open. You can't disrespect her shot. And you definitely can't count out the Indiana Fever just because Caitlin Clark is injured. This team has heart, they have depth, and now they have confidence. Next up for the Fever, they head to Chicago to face the Sky on Sunday. Another test, another opportunity to prove that this win wasn't a fluke. If Sophie Cunningham can keep shooting like this, if Stephanie White keeps that fire burning, if the supporting cast continues to step up, we might be looking at the most surprising team in the WNBA. So make sure you're subscribed because we'll be breaking down every game, every play, every controversy. This is the content you won't find anywhere else. Real talk, no filter, just the truth about what's really happening in the WNBA. Until next time, this is your source for everything Indiana Fever. Peace out!